changed my how, no, how, how Twitter changed my life in 1 year. I wrote this. I wrote this book in. I wrote this book in I don't know 2010, 2009, 2010, and it was basically about how my career changed and my personal life because of Twitter. Because all the people I met on Twitter, going through a horrible breakup and being public about it on Twitter, all the filmmakers and all the, especially web series and digital series I've done, they're just based on Twitter connections. Now, Twitter 17 is not the same as Twitter back in 2010, but unfortunately.
Oh, so but is that related to when you started getting on getting, like you were saying, you realized that people could score for TV too? Was Twitter involved in helping you do that at all, or no?
I realized that back in 2003 or 4, and so at the time I wrote the book, I'd already scored feature films. I don't know if I'd done any TV work. Twitter's helped me. I got a Sony commercial based on somebody I know from Twitter. I've gotten filmed. I don't know that I've gotten television connections from Twitter. I don't remember where they came from. Some of them came from friends that are in the industry, that were editors for shows that introduced me to people.
Just pause for a second. Brad's giving me a dirty look on something. Our audio hasn't been broadcasting the whole time, just Rob's, not ours, because the microphones were muted over there. So no one's heard anything that we said, just what Rob said. That's why you can all of a sudden hear us, is because you were muted. Yeah. So we're just going to keep talking, though.
Okay.
So for the first half an hour, it's probably better that way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm annoyed. We actually.
How did that happen?
How it happened is we're sitting here doing a million things at once, and we have no one checking the output. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought that's what the headphones.
Yeah, but did you notice that you couldn't hear yourself in the headphones?
I could hear.
I know that now. Now I realize. Oh yeah, we didn't hear ourselves in the headphones. That's what this was supposed to be for. But yeah. So anyway,
let's not mute that anymore.
Your one viewer was like, "What? All I hear is this guy answering questions."
Yeah, it's annoying because.
He just stares for a minute and then he talks.
You know why this happened is because right before we went on, I said, "Are we actually going to have this go down with no problems?" Because we had zero problems building up to this moment, like zero problems. So anyway, I'm just going to keep talking because we can fix something with it. Anyway, so and when we met, you were still were you full-time composing when we first met? How long have you been a full-time composer?
2006. So yeah, by the time I was full-time composing before I got on Twitter, because I didn't get on Twitter until 2008.
Okay, so what were you doing? What kind of jobs did you have before that?
I dug graves in a cemetery. The last two jobs I had, because I grew up in LA, but then I moved away and went to college in New Mexico at UNM. When I came back to LA, for a little while I had a full-time job delivering blueprints, mostly around Santa Monica, in my own car, which is a fairly easy job. And then when composing started to kind of work, I switched to a part-time job. I spent 1 year at a hotel working graveyard in Beverly Hills, so it's not like it was a really bad hotel. And then I spent another year in Malibu at a real estate office, just sitting in the office and answering the phone on the weekends. Both of those were weekend jobs. And then I had each of those for about a year before I kind of took the leap. I was getting busy enough and I needed the time to score and was making enough to make up for the two. Just
cool. And was it nerve-wracking for you when you took that first leap into I'm gonna quit all jobs except for film or composing.
It was a little scary. I mean, it's not like I had a career job with 401k. I thought, oh my god, if I leave this job, if it doesn't work, then I have to start over again. I had jobs that were easy to walk away from, and if I had to go back, I could have gone back to either one of them. It was a little scarier because at that time I was living with my girlfriend, so we were both paying the bills together. And when we broke up and she moved out, then it was all me, and there was a panic of like, oh shit, I have to make sure I'm finding composing work all the time because I'm paying for everything myself. So it did kind of kick into higher gear at that point. I feel like before that, I was able to, I don't want to go to that networking event, or like, I don't, I'm not going to go to that meetup, and then after that, I'm like, I got to go to as many things as I can go to because I got to meet people and keep generating work. So, and then I feel like it's always been that way since then. I mean, I'm at a point now where, A, a lot of the work I get is word of mouth, and B, there aren't networking events like there used to be. They're out there. It's just not the same as it was back in 2009, 2010, at least in LA.
Well, freelancing makes me nervous. That's why I've not really ever been a full-time freelancer. And I'm not very good at it. I just kind of feel like I'm the sort of person that would struggle with it and then be like, I'm going to go freelancer, and then 6 months later I'm actually working at Burger King or something. So...
Right.
Maybe even a month later instead of 6 months later.
Well, and as a director, it's even harder because I have friends that the people that I've directed for that are like, hey, I want to direct full time. I want to quit my day job. And people don't hire directors the same way.
Right.
People write and direct their own stuff. But unless you've got an agent and you're at a certain level, you're not just going to get hired to direct things on a regular basis.
Yeah, I would be surprised if even at this point, if I ever got a job working as a director. I'm a video editor. It's one way I paid my bills for a long time was by being a video editor, or just a regular production person, working camera or something like that. But
right.
Being a director is what I do for like the craft, like art, like doing art, like write something, direct it, short film or a feature film or something like that. Yeah, but freelancing as a director is something that I just don't. I also don't know if I want to actually put the time into it, because if I'm directing, I'd rather not. At least right now, I'd rather not struggle to get a commercial directing job. You know what I mean? I'd rather if I want to direct, I'm gonna go write something to direct. Down the road, it's something completely different, because if I were working as a director and I got hired to direct like a commercial or a music video or something, of course I'd love to do that.
You could edit because there's always a need for editors, and you don't have to be located in one spot.
Yeah.
But again, you've got to always be hustling, looking for editing. A lot of the successful freelance editors I know have an in with the company. Like they've got a company that's regularly producing videos, and they're their guy or girl, and so they have that. It's almost like a steady job, even though it's still freelance.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because there was a period of my life where I really only where I met people on Twitter that I actually ended up getting to know and appreciating as human beings as well as creative people. And there was a period there where I worked with people who I ended up working with people that I met from Twitter. And it's been a long time since I've actually met people like that online that I actually wanted to be around. It's so kind of chaotic and noisy now. Back when it was smaller, I know people sound like an old person complaining about, progress and all that stuff, but that's really not it. Like when we met, I think one of the first conversations we had, I was just talking about how I was grilling steaks for like New Year's Eve, and you're like, that sounds like the best plan I've heard all night. And we just instantly started talking. And then we ended up, working together. And it's like, that, for me, if nothing else ever happened from Twitter, it's like the 4 or 5 people that I actually became true friends with and have gotten to work with and gotten to know for 10 years, like know about their life and stuff like that. That is, Twitter has done its job as far as I'm concerned. So I've
my wife will still defend Twitter and say that, like, Twitter, it's changed some, but it's still the same Twitter. And I'll disagree with her because I'm like you. It will always be worth it for the relationships that I've made from Twitter.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I will ever make relationships like that from Twitter again. I get decent. There are people I'm meeting on Instagram that I feel that way about, where I've started to meet people that in person and strike up conversations. I feel like that's the new Twitter for me. It's also not as noisy, in terms of, Twitter's become the place you go for news, or where people rant, or where people complain, mostly complain.
Yeah, it's where you go to complain.
Bully or talk shit to other people. Whereas Instagram is much more just photos. And so I do like that it's quieter there.
Yeah.
And Facebook is just a horrible, horrible place.
Well, I think that I've learned a lot from you about making tacos. I have, and I actually learned a lot from you about composing. I have a brief music background. I was a musician for like 7 years, and I was a music major. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but what I wanted to do was compose film scores. Like, that's what I wanted to do.
I think you said it to me before. I think I'd forgotten it, but I remember having a conversation.
I kind of forgot it. I forgot it until like recently, and I just sort of realized, I remembered that that's what I wanted to do. And my problem was I couldn't get past like the rules in my head. You know what I mean? I couldn't get past like all the music theory and things like that. I was way, way too rigid with how things were supposed to be. I was trying too hard to be perfect, and it just wasn't good for the stuff was in my head, that I had in my head. I couldn't get out, and the only place I've ever really been able to do that was in front of a computer writing a screenplay, or making a film. Like, it's the only time I've ever been able to cut that shit out of my head and get it out. Like, music is still stuck in my head that I've never been able to get out.
See, I picked up a guitar and taught myself, and then I took lessons from this little old lady in Pasadena, which sounds very cliche, who tried to teach me, like, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I wanted to play Metallica. After taking lessons with her, I went back, I self-taught myself and learned, listen to blues and rock. And when I got to college, I didn't take theory at all in high school. It wasn't until I got to college, and I beforehand, I kind of studied theory before the first semester. So I went in and learned all the rules and all the things you're supposed to do and not do. I don't know that I don't follow those when I write. I will use those rules when I go back through and I'm editing what I've written if something's not working. But I fall back to my ear. Like, this is what I want that to sound like. How do I make it sound like that? And then my fingers will, I can pick out the notes and figure out the melody without having to use all the, because I don't like all the rules either.
Yeah.
No, this chord has to move from here to here. Well, what if it doesn't? Well, then it's wrong.
Well,
no, it's not.
I'm fine, and I'm fine with the rules. I'm fine with rules, but for me, when I was sticking to them, so it was like sticking to them so much that I couldn't get my stuff to sound right. I was sounding like everything else, and I guess part of it was just, I wasn't a keyboardist, I was a trumpet player, so I would sit down at the keyboard, and I wasn't very good at even playing the stuff so that it sounded better even just by, on the keys and stuff like that. So, but this was before computers make it possible for people that don't know shit about music to compose something and call it a song. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I wasn't able to, I just didn't have those back in just a couple years later, suddenly computers made everything, it was like a magic trick all of a sudden. You could click this button. Now, like, when you click on GarageBand, you can click a button and it does chord progressions for you, and you're like, see, I don't even have to know how to read music. That idea, it really irritates me, because it means it gives people who don't have the patience or artistic integrity to learn
The
a
robot
craft.
can do it?
Yeah, the robot can do it. Yeah. Now they have robots writing screenplays, Brad.
Oh, yeah. I guess. Like Siri.
Well, no, they actually...
Transformers was made?
Yeah, that's how Transformers was made. No, they actually had a composer, not a composer, a computer. They programmed the names of the things, and the thing just went with a structure and wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
And a producer said, "This isn't bad."
Well, I mean, a lot of the scripts we see today. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Like a monkey or a child could write it because it's all formulaic. It's the same thing over and over with different situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Mad Lib.
Yeah.
So,
basically.
So I know you only go to see spectacle movies in theaters, and you don't even go see a lot of those. But are you gonna see Star Wars?
Who isn't?
He didn't see Star Wars. He didn't see the.
Okay, the last one
I
was.
didn't see the last one in the theater. I saw the one before that in the theater.
Yeah.
When Star Wars come out? Middle of December.
Yeah.
So
hold on.
Rogue One.
Hold on. You didn't see Rogue One. I'm talking about The Force Awakens. Did you see that?
I saw that in the theater.
Okay.
One of like 2 movies I went to see in the theater.
Right.
However, the reason I did is because my father-in-law, every year when we go for the holidays, he always wants to go to the movies. So he'll usually pick the biggest spectacle movie to go see. And for 3 years, it was The Hobbit, back to back to back. And so it was Star Wars. It was The Force Awakens the first year. I think we went in January after New Year's. Last year we didn't actually get to the movies. I think we were going to see Star Wars. And if it wasn't for that, I would probably. And I definitely wouldn't choose Star Wars. I mean, I grew up with Star Wars. I love the original 3 movies. I don't know that I like that Disney is just turned it into this other big spectacle. I'm not excited for them to keep the story going.
Yeah.
I'd be fine if Empire Jedi and the OG Star Wars were the only 3 made. I'm not counting the prequels.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a fan for when it comes to this whole new influx of Star Wars.
You hit the nail on the head for me. Like, I want, number one, I want to be excited when a new Star Wars movie comes out. I don't want to be like, when does the next one come out? Oh, the next one comes out in 4 months. Okay, I actually feel like it's such a like an old school thing, but Rogue One, didn't like it. I thought it was trying too hard to be a Star Wars movie instead of being a good movie. And then
mine too.
I
didn't hate it, but I had a lot of problems.
Exactly.
So, and I realize again, this makes me sound like an cranky old curmudgeon, but they're basically toying with my childhood. Harrison Ford and Han Solo, Indiana Jones, all that, they were like, it's going to be very hard for me to imagine someone else as Han Solo. And I don't have any interest in the new Han Solo movie. Am I going to go see it? I will probably go see it, but I don't expect much from it. And that's going to be disappointing because they are continuing to dilute the character, not the franchise, but the character. Their franchise is going to keep making billions of dollars. I'm not worried about them killing the franchise. I'm worried about them diluting the character to me because they put somebody else in there.
Marvel does a similar thing where I feel like I'm not a huge Thor fan, and I'm not a big Black Panther fan, and I'm definitely not a Doctor Strange fan. Although I feel an obligation to see those movies at some point because they continue the story along for the other movies that I do want to see.
Right.
I didn't care about Ant-Man. I thought Ant-Man was fun. I watched it at home.
Which movie?
I still have not seen Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Oh,
yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I still have not seen Doctor Strange.
Oh, you have to see Doctor Strange. It is great.
I didn't like Doctor Strange as a comic character. I never read that comic.
Oh, neither did I.
My problem with Thor is the same thing. I don't enjoy the whole like Norse god mythology thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
I'm
you.
more I'm a Spider-Man, Captain America. I feel like I'm more of a regular person who either got their superpowers some what Spider-Man did, or or even Cap, or like Iron Man, who doesn't have any power. He's a genius, he invents the suit. Much more than like, here's this guy who's the son of Zeus, or here's somebody who's like Doctor Strange, who's a mystic. Those characters don't excite me so much.
Yeah. I think that I was worried about it when Disney bought Pixar. I was worried that they were going to just kill Pixar, like kill. And Pixar did go through a period where their movies weren't as good as that first batch of movies, like Toy Story, A Bug's Life,
Right.
The Incredibles, and those movies, that first batch. And then they went through a period where they just sort of fell off a little bit. But in my mind, I kept thinking, well, their first batch of movies were so good. How could you possibly keep that up forever? You know what I mean? But then in the last couple of years, they sort of brought it back up. And my main concern when Disney bought Pixar was that they were just going to try to make Pixar be Disney movies. And really what they did was they made Disney do Pixar movies. Because the Disney movies these days, like Wreck-It Ralph and Tangled, and what was the last one that came? Not the last one, but Big Hero 6. Those movies have been Pixar level good. Like Big Hero 6 and like Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph was like an instant classic, and Frozen, that's the one I was trying to think of, Frozen. Like an instant classic in the way that Pixar, like Toy Story was when Toy Story first came out. When I saw Toy Story, I knew I was seeing something I had never seen before and might never see like that again because it was the first. It's amazing that Toy Story was the first movie of its kind and also that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And every time they make a new Toy Story sequel, Toy Story 2, I was like, okay, but don't kill it like you've done. And then they made the third one, and I thought these guys are going to beat this into the ground. It's not going to be good anymore. And then Toy Story 3 was so good. It was like as good as two and 1 were. And now they're making a fourth one. I worry about it. It's like the farther they step off the plank, the more likely they are to just like fall.
Just fall off.
But
That's a great analogy.
but I think that they are. I mean, I hope Toy Story 4. Like we won't know until Toy Story 4 comes out. But they took John Lasseter and made John Lasseter work on, when they bought Pixar, they made John Lasseter the head of Imagineering? I think it's Imagineering.
Yeah, I think it's Imagineering.
Which puts him over a lot of things, namely the Walt Disney Animation. So that addition has been great for Disney, but I'm not so sure it was great for Pixar, if you know what I mean. Why were we talking about that?
I have no idea.
Why did I get down that tangent? What rabbit was I chasing?
I have not seen Frozen, and I did not like Wreck-It Ralph, actually. I got bored and stopped halfway through.
Oh. What are you doing?
Nothing. I was turning volume down.
What
I
volume?
was trying to secretly turn your volume down,
My
but
volume.
you didn't make it.
My volume.
Yeah, you were peaking. Maybe
Okay.
the whole main volume needs to come down.
Okay. How's that better?
I think so.
How did you not like Wreck-It Ralph? Like, what didn't you like about it?
I was bored. I was bored by it. I just didn't think it was good.
I mean, I'm not even a video game person, and
And I have no desire to see Frozen. I mean, obviously, if I had small children, and when my kids were little, they went through the phase where I knew every word for Lion King and The Little Mermaid and The Jungle Book, and oh good God, there are a lot of Disney movies around that time in that era, but now I don't have to watch those. So I'm not a big fan of Disney animated movies now that I don't have kids and don't have to watch them. Like, I don't have any desire to watch Frozen.
Big Hero 6 is awesome.
Big Hero
if
6
you
is
haven't
good.
seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I watch animated, but I watch animated movies. I watch animated shows, much like I film watching. I don't watch films. I watch TV.
my complaint, and we were just talking about it a second ago, my complaint about Disney in general, and it's not a complaint about Disney, but it's when they conglomerate things, and I think I just made that word up, conglomerate things.
You just verbed it, so go ahead.
They take it and they just like, now everybody gets an origin story, and now everybody gets their own spin-off sequels, and it's just like, I just don't care. I don't think everyone needs a spin-off, sequel, prequel, backstory, origin franchise, but they spend so much money to acquire these things that they have to do that so that they can make sense out of why they spent that much money in the first place.
I think what they need to do is stop doing. We don't need reboots, and we don't need origin stories anymore. We know where they started and what happened. We just need new stories, like make continuations with new actors playing those roles, but tell us different stories with different bad guys. I don't need to see the Goblin and and those same guys 3 times. You know, once I've seen them, what's a new bad guy? Or, you know.
You saw what Marvel did with Spider-Man over the summer.
Like they rebooted him 4 times, I think.
It was great, and Marvel had been saying, please don't reboot the character again. Just continue the story. But Sony kept saying, no, we're just going to reboot it with different casts and characters. And Marvel's like, you know, you're kind of killing our character. You're making people hate Spider-Man, and people want to love Spider-Man. You're like snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. They want to like Spider-Man, and you keep making them hate Spider-Man. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
So what Marvel had to do was like pay Sony for the rights to make their own Spider-Man movie of their own character, and just let Sony be sort of the tag-along guy. And Marvel proved that they've been right all along about Spider-Man and made a badass Spider-Man movie. It was fun, and it was funny, it was highly entertaining, and it wasn't like any of the other movie. It wasn't like a rehash of Ant-Man, except now it's got Spider-Man in the Ant-Man part.
The first time we saw Spider-Man the way it's supposed to be was in Captain America
Civil War.
That was Spider-Man. I remember the little kid inside of me was like, yes, that is the Spider-Man I've been watching all of these years. That is the wit, the personality, the making fun of people, and the quips. You know, that's him. And I got excited for an actual Spider-Man movie that had that guy, and I that's what made Homeland so great.
And Homecoming.
Homecoming! I'm bad with birds. Spider-Man in Homeland.
That's a different Spider-Man. That's a reboot for you. But
he ends up with Carrie to go stop the terrorists.
Yeah. And he ends up hanging at the end because it turns out he's been a terrorist the whole time, like a sleeper terrorist.
Right. Yeah. It was Spider-Man. He was Venom. He was like, he was the black Spider-Man the whole time. He did both.
So, have you seen the new Spider-Man movie, Rob? Have you seen it?
I have not seen it yet. Not because I don't want to, just because I haven't stopped and done it.
Right.
But Spider-Man's the first comic I ever read. He's my favorite character.
Right. But your wife hates him. But is it?
She does. She doesn't like Spider-Man.
She didn't like Spider-Man, so it made it hard for you to. Oh, you went dark. There you go.
His computer screen is his light, apparently.
Well, there's a behind me, but clearly the computer screen's giving off.
Well.
Suddenly I'm deep throat.
Well, yeah, that's right. If we just altered your voice, you would have been our undercover, our spy. So before we go in a couple minutes.
I want to know what he thinks about Justice League and.
He hasn't seen
Thor.
Justice League yet, and he just said he doesn't really care about Thor. Oh, so Justice League. Are you going to go?
I want to see this Thor. I want to see this Thor because it's much like Captain America with the 2. It was like the Civil War Captain America.
Yeah, the Civil War. Yeah.
Where it's Cap, but then it's really everybody else too. I feel like this Thor is the same way. This Thor has, the Hulk's in it. Even though I heard your review, it's interesting. I agree with you. I don't want a goofy, dopey Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Like smart Bruce Banner Hulk. See, I watch your show.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
You're the one.
I'm excited to see the Justice League because I want DC. Every time DC has a new movie, I'm like, come on, see the one where you guys finally get it right. And Wonder Woman, they got right. But I'm worried that they're going to fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, so are you going to get to go see it? It's
in a theater?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, we plan on seeing it this weekend.
Oh, Justice League?
Yeah, I think we're going to get to see it this weekend.
We're going to do a in-the-car review.
Great.
Make sure you're sitting in the parking lot this time.
Yeah.
Well, so before we go, I want to give you a chance to pitch the podcast and the book to people again. So, what we have here,
I can do pictures.
Yeah,
while
we have
he
a couple of pictures. Like I have like 5 or 6 pictures of the tacos from the places that you've covered in your show. You can't see them though, can you? This one's from Black Rooster.
The first one?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this one's from Black Rooster.
Should I just do a split screen like that?
Yeah. It's the Black Rooster taco. The with the one with bacon and all that stuff in it.
Right.
They are.
So the show is not just about tacos. It's about the history behind the people making the tacos.
Yeah.
It's people all across the United States from east to west, and hopefully eventually in Mexico itself. It's a story of where they came from, where the recipes came from, how they struggled to open the places they did, and basically it's about the people. People first, tacos second.
Yeah.
Because without the people, we wouldn't have the tacos.
Right. So one of the things that you did, I think it was in your last episode. It may have, so not this week's episode, but last week's episode. You started out with like this pirate story. So when you start talking every time, so and so back in the 1800s, I'm like, how is he going to tie this into like 2017? And it always seems, that section always seems so well written to me. Like the story part that you tell people.
I feel like that's the longest part of the entire episode each week is the research and writing the script.
Yeah.
That first 5 minutes. Because everything else, at that point, everything else flows really well. And it's just me introducing a segment with whoever I'm interviewing that week or talking about what they're talking about. But it's been fun. I got that from Undisclosed, and Susan Simpson of Undisclosed does that occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But it's become this thing where I'm research Playa del Carmen, which is where Tacophile is from in that episode, and I looked up Playa del Carmen. I found one line that talked about pirates and how they used the atolls there, and like they had battles like within that area. So then I jumped back and was like, I know more about the pirates, and then went back and did all the pirate research.
Were you calling them ace-holes?
A-holes.
Atoll.
Okay.
Yes, pirates are a-holes.
Oh.
So what is it like? What is it that some people like cheeseburgers, some people like steak, some people like other things? I don't even know. What is it about tacos that you just love so much? Because you have been obsessed with tacos from the time I've known you.
It's all those other things in a taco. I don't know. It's the I guess a taco is comfort food to me. It's a vehicle for, within reason, for so many different things, so many different ways to make it. You can say the same thing about burgers, and our friend Camilla would totally agree.
Yeah.
But I feel like the taco, it's almost unlimited. And even if you get carne asada at every taco place, it tastes different every place because they're cooking it slightly differently, or they're using different seasoning, or they're using a different kind of meat. And so it just varies. I love it. It never tastes the same unless you go back to the same place.
Right. And so I think a lot of people, in fact, when I came out to visit you that time, you took me out to get like what you would call a real taco. My impression of tacos was very American, Taco Bell tacos, like crunchy, old El Paso style, which, by the way, I still love. I will still, I almost never admit it to anyone, but I will still go to Taco Bell and grab a crunchy taco. There's something about it. But it's not. It's what I do when I'm in a hurry. When I'm not in a hurry, I don't go get one of those. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think a lot of people think that the taco is like crunchy taco, ground beef, cheese, like high sodium content, like Mexican seasoning that just always tastes really salty, and not like a year ago.
Like Guisados. I took you to Guisados. We went to Guisados and to Mexicali and to Ricky's, I think. I took you to 3 or 4 places.
I can't remember where we went because I don't speak Spanish, so I have no idea where you were taking me. I just knew that the food was good. Like I didn't know those places. But
those are not Taco Del Palos. They look very different.
They do, and I never would have maybe 2 years ago. I never would have tried like a beef tongue taco, like lingua.
That sounds good.
Or like, what's the weirdest taco you've had? Is it the eyeball? No, it's
Brain.
It's the sheep.
Brains.
Is it what was it?
Yeah.
Sheep brain.
No, not sheep.
Lamb.
Oh, it is lamb brains. Yeah.
Yeah. What did it?
They were great. Not that they were bad, but the texture is like scrambled eggs, and it didn't have a ton of flavor. I'm glad I ate it just so that I could say I ate it, but I wouldn't order them again.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe 2 years ago or even a year ago, I wouldn't have even made what I made for tonight's taco thing, which is, the zucchini and the mushrooms, and I might not ever would have tried that, but I realized that a taco doesn't have to be, like you made yourself a chili cheese dog taco, and you made chorizo with cheese and a couple other things. And he said, yeah, this is a taco because it's in a shell, you know?
Yeah, it's been fun watching your taco making abilities evolve over time. Because you'll text me with this recipe, and I'll think, oh, that's awesome. You just came up with this cool veggie taco that you didn't get from a book that you just figured out, like, I'm going to put these things together, and I think it'll work.
Yeah.
What's funny is the things that I put together that I call tacos, but I know that you and Mike are thinking, that's not really a taco.
Yeah, he makes some weird stuff. Okay, so before we go, I want you to give everybody your, where to find your stuff, like where to find you and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on the web at robgokee.com and also at tacocitypod.com. You can find me on Instagram most of the time at Rob Gokee, and you can also find me at Taco City Pod. All over my main one is where I post daily. Same with at Rob Gokee or at Taco City Pod, and don't look for me on Facebook.
Well, I am glad you got to know me. So that we could work together and all that stuff, and I don't know when I'll make it back out to LA, but when I do, you'll have to take me to some of these places that you've put in your book, so I can just try those.
Yes. Well, I have to get to Orlando so that I can go to some of your places in person.
Yeah, and you have plenty of time. You could hit both of our places in a day. Tacocity. Yeah, there's like 3 places. Yeah, actually, there's a lot more, but there's places that I haven't ventured out to because sometimes I just kind of want to go. Like comfort food. It makes sense. Yeah, the places I know and trust, I want to go there. But dude, I'm happy for you and I'm proud of you. Like your book is awesome, and I've actually learned how to cook things from your book and from your podcast. Last week I think were shrimp tacos. I'm gonna make those next. And the thing is, it's
she wants to make them.
Huh?
I said my mom says the same thing. She said I got to make those shrimp tacos.
Oh, it's adorable that your mom listens to your podcast. Did you have to teach?
I told her. I said if she doesn't, I'm going to put them in a home, so they don't really have a choice.
Did you have to teach your mom what a podcast was so she could go listen to it?
Yeah, I had to walk them through finding it in the Google Play Store, which is a whole ordeal.
Yeah. Cool. Oh yeah, a whole ordeal. Yeah, because they're on Google. They're not on Apple iPhones.
Oh, and Google Play, it wasn't searchable. It wasn't even their fault as much as it was just Google Play made it difficult. I had a friend at my house, and I tried to help him look it up, and he was like, "It's not coming up in the search engine."
Yeah.
Send him a link.
I've always had problems with Google Play.
Well, you have problems with everything. You had problems with Skype earlier today.
Yeah, Skype wouldn't let me do anything at all.
You have to know your password.
I sent the forget password to the email address, but then that was old, so I had to do forget password from that email address to another old email address. So I had to go like Inception my emails.
Inception.
In order to try and open up Skype, and it still wouldn't work. It said, you know what, I'm done with you, and then just wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Mike, you come home and the house is done. You're like, Brad, are you inceptioning again?
You're inceptioning your emails like Brad's floating around upside down on the roof.
404
I'm just trying to reset my password for Skype. You know. Anyway, so I know we had a couple of technical problems tonight, but I hope if anybody watched this live that you enjoyed the episode. We're going to try to do these every Tuesday.
Yes.
Sometimes we may not have a guest. Sometimes it'll just be me and Brad talking about what we've done on our channel, talking about just like a talk show sort of environment about movies. Mm-hmm. But I really like having you on, especially for our first episode where we, like you traditionally have been our first guest on all of our other stuff too.
I'm the guinea pig. I really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
I'm honored that you guys picked me as your first guest.
If you want to hear Rob in other places talking to us, where we may or may not have rehashed some of the same conversations just now, I don't know. After 10 years of conversations, I don't remember what we've talked about already. But we also do an indie filmmaking podcast called Film Reverie. It's at filmreverie.com, and there we talk about indie filmmaking. We talk about, trials and tribulations of being an independent filmmaker. And we've had many, many conversations we've done 55 different episodes with different filmmakers. And Rob's been on a handful of times talking about stuff.
And we're about to premiere it on YouTube. In fact, this is kind of our audition for how we want to do Film Reverie live.
We're going to do Film Reverie live on YouTube on Saturday at 2. We're going to go on the record and say 2 o'clock.
Okay.
With Fred Zera, our buddy Fred Zera, who is an Orlando filmmaker who's working on his next feature film. He's got a Kickstarter and all that stuff he's trying to do. So anyway, please like our show, subscribe to our channel, all that stuff. Check us out. You can find us on Twitter. I'm Bekemeyer, Bekemeyer, and this is
Balding Ewok.
Balding Ewok.
Yay! See, there's little things on there.
Yeah, we should have made Rob one. We didn't think about that.
No.
Yeah.
We did think about turning the audio back on. So, let's work on getting the audio on, and then I'll add layers of complication.
Right. Anyway, that's it for now. We will see you again next time.
Yep.
Out.
I guess we can fade to black.
Bye-bye.